Los Angeles isn't dubbed the city of broken dreams for nothing. The moniker has deeper roots than unfulfilled acting ambitions. It's no surprise that Hollywood actors and actresses are vulnerable to loss and grief, given the ups and downs that come with fame and money. Although it may be difficult to imagine, the lives of some of Hollywood's most well-known performers are tarnished by terrible tales that are far beyond those seen in drama movies. When the lights go down and the cameras stop rolling, these actors have left alone with their demons. Some have such sad backstories that they go on to become inspirational role models. So, what stories do the stars of Hollywood carry, and just how tragic are they? Well, let's get started. Number 10. Kevin Spacey. Kevin was the person who once stood at the helm of it all, but was suddenly dumped at the bottom due to a series of horrible crimes that cannot be justified in any way. And the tale of actor Kevin Spacey's fall from grace has acted as a turning point for current Hollywood. Even while Kevin Spacey's actions cannot be excused, at least they may be understood from a psychological perspective. As youngsters, Kevin and his brother Randy were subjected to psychological and sexual abuse at the hands of their father, but their mother suppressed it out of worry for them. Kevin and Randy's mother did not know how to handle the situation. Later, in an attempt to justify her behavior, Spacey's mother would assert that she and Spacey's father had both been victims of child abuse when they were young. In the end, Kevin Spacey abuses children himself, bringing his family's awful cycle of brutality and degeneration full circle for yet another generation of descendants. Number 9. Woody Harrelson. In addition to having a terrible family life, Woody Harrelson, the hero of Venom: Let There Be Carnage, also had a childhood that, had it taken place in one of his drama movies, wouldn't have looked out of place. The actor's father, Charles Harrelson, had a stunning story to tell that would alter the course of his son Woody's life in an irrevocable way. In contrast to most actors working in the entertainment industry, Woody's father was not a well-known actor or producer, but rather a mob hitman. Woody was named after his father after being convicted guilty of the 1973 murder of a Texas grain trader. 1973, Charles Void Harrelson, a senior player in organized crime, was imprisoned once again in 1978 for carrying out another hit after being found guilty of the 1973 murder. Because of the outstanding person that he is, Woody spent most of his adult life making amends with his father in the hopes of mending their relationship. Unfortunately, in 2007, Charles passed away at a high-security prison. Number 8. Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson does not require an introduction because of the popularity of films such as Django Unchained and his depiction of Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. No one hasn't heard of him or seen him act with the unmistakable enthusiasm that has become his trademark. However, Samuel L. Jackson, the actor, had a tumultuous relationship with his father. Similar to that of many other renowned individuals, the actor had only ever spoken to the man who was an alcoholic twice in his whole life. The abduction of Martin Luther King Sr. as a hostage by Jackson on the grounds of Morehouse College in 1969 may have been the lowest point in his life. Even though they didn't do any harm to any of their hostages, the act was more than significant grounds to exclude him from the establishment. Number 7. Jim Carrey. Some of the funniest comedians also have the darkest histories, which may seem terrible but is actually quite the opposite. Jim Carrey's life before becoming one of the most versatile comedic performers of all time is the perfect illustration of this point. When the comedian's father lost his job and the family's only source of income, the comic had no choice but to start working when he was only 16 years old. In the aftermath of that, Carrey would also be forced to drop out of school in order to put food on the table, which ultimately resulted in him and his family being compelled to live in their vehicle out of need. It is to Carrey's good fortune that his career as one of the most successful comedians of the 1990s enabled him to ascend to the highest levels of Hollywood stardom. Number 6. Jack Nicholson. The events of Jack Nicholson's life hardly meet the definition of tragedy. On the other hand, his life is filled with so many unexpected plot turns that they would make M. Night Shyamalan cringe. It turns out that the woman the actor had been referring to as his sister was, in fact, his mother. It was important to the grandparents of Nicholson, a showgirl who fell in love with a married man, to protect their daughter's dignity at such a young age that they brought up their grandson as if they were their son. Nicholson wouldn't find out about this until 1974 after his birth mother and adoptive mother had passed away. Straight from a movie, right? Number 5. Drew Barrymore. Stars like Drew Barrymore and Drew Child had never had it easy. Drew Barrymore was not an exception to the business's reputation for tearing down everyone it comes in contact with. and the work lived up to its reputation with regard to Drew Barrymore. At the age of 7, Barrymore had a co-starring role in the film E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and by the time she was 11 years old, she had already developed an addiction to alcohol. After a few years had passed, cocaine was introduced into the market. This led to the actress embarking on a road of partying and drug abuse that almost led her away before she was 14 and sent to a mental hospital. However, she was able to conquer her addictions, and now she is recognized as one of the most prominent drama performers in Hollywood. Number 4. Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr.'s boyhood is often considered among the most troubled anybody has ever witnessed. He was just another young actor whose life was turned upside down by the excessive and drug-dependent lifestyle prevalent in Hollywood. His history with drugs begins when he was just 6 years old. The actor claims that his father, a struggling director called Robert Downey Sr., gave him his first taste of marijuana, which marked the beginning of his downward spiral into addiction. In 2003, after a long and arduous process of rehabilitation, Robert Downey Jr. was finally able to kick the destructive habit once and for all. He is presently one of the most well-known faces in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which makes him the most well-known individual globally. Number 3. Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer is an expert at making people laugh with his peculiar deadpan comedy style. Grammer's life took a turn for the worst when he was just 12 years old when his grandfather passed suddenly. This event, coupled with the fact that his parents had recently divorced, required him to move in with his grandparents. The next year, as a result of a home invasion, his father was killed, and the crime scene was never solved. In 1975, 4 males abducted Grammer's sister, who was 18 at the time, and sexually assaulted her. This was perhaps the most traumatic experience of Grammer's life. Even more tragically, Grammer's sister was able to evade her kidnappers, but she ended up dying of natural causes shortly afterward. How tragic. Number 2. Corey Feldman. This young actor first gained widespread recognition in the 1980s as a consequence of his roles in the films The Goonies and Gremlins. However, as time went on, Feldman became more notorious for his drug use, which resulted in the collapse of his acting career. A similar decline in popularity befell Feldman's close friend and frequent co-star Corey Haim before he passed tragically from pneumonia in 2010 at the age of 38. A year later, Feldman acknowledged that he and Haim had both been the victims of sexual abuse when they were young children. Feldman referred to the perpetrator as Ron, who was also involved in Feldman's drug misuse and who was the one who assaulted him. Feldman's drug use was also a factor in the incident. After Harvey Weinstein was accused of sexual assault in 2017, Feldman made the decision to self-finance a film that revealed pedophiles in the Hollywood entertainment industry. Number 1. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was a renowned actress who, much like Judy Garland, hid her pain under a veneer of glitz, glamour, and an endearing personality on film. Judy Garland was also an alcoholic. Monroe, whose birth name was Norma Jean Mortensen, spent her formative years moving about from one foster family to another, as well as residing in an institution. Monroe wed her first husband when she was just 16 years old, and she went on to enjoy enormous success in the fields of modeling, acting, and singing after their divorce. Monroe suffered from severe depression despite the fact that she was admired by a great number of people because of her failed marriages, many miscarriages, continual press attention, and inner demons. She developed an addiction to alcohol as well as drugs, and at the age of 36, she passed away from an overdose of barbiturates. It is indisputable that Monroe lived a miserable life, despite the fact that it is not yet known for certain whether or not she took her own life. So, what do you think about Hollywood drama and lifestyle? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!